Okay, so today I want to talk with you guys a little bit about, I had this really interesting experience a few weeks ago with two young men who are, well, they're 30-something-year-old men. They're not young men, but they're not old. They're very in the prime of their life, and they're both, one gentleman is actually engaged and the other gentleman is about to be engaged, and we're having a wonderful conversation about that experience, what that means, and how excited their fiance/girlfriend was about this new part of their life that they were going to be sharing with these amazing women. And one thing that I've noticed, and when I've talked to women that are single, that are looking to have a deeper relationship, or they want to get married, or they just want a committed relationship, because here at Notre, we don't necessarily agree that everyone has to be married. We don't agree that everybody has to be traditional. But it's really about the connection that you want to gain. So I want to say that. Going back to my story, one of the things that I mentioned to them was that I've seen several situations where women are more excited about being engaged than they are about the man that they're interacting with. Because once they get the engagement, they've got the ring, so they're in the club. They're in the club of being Mrs. Somebody. They're in the club of having a husband. And for people that are wanting to be part of that, it just kind of changes. And I will tell you, the conversation that I had with those two gentlemen was so powerful, because I was really just talking off the top of my head, and they went on for about 15 minutes on their whole experience around their partners being very excited and almost forgetting them a little bit, like leaving them in the dust, like, yes, I'm going off to do my girl activity with all the other wives and, fiancés and girlfriends that are about to be engaged, and it just really tickled me a little bit. So one of the things I want to say about that is, when you're dealing with committed relationships, and especially those of us, or those of you that are younger, you're having your first marriage, you're getting married, you're deciding to be committed, that experience in itself is a whole thing in American culture specifically. It's a really big deal to have the wedding and the engagement and the experience and all that that means. And it means a lot to women in our culture. But I would like to say, be very mindful that in your relationships, you don't get as far wrapped into the process and the cultural experience and what's happening to you and what it means for your own social standing, that you really are connected to the person that you're marrying or committing to or deciding to date seriously. It's really about the person that you're sharing your time and your life with. It's not as much about being a member of the club of wifedom or commitment, or having a person to take with you on the girls' trip, because the girls' trip is everybody's bringing their boyfriend or their husband. It's really being mindful that our relationships are really about the people that we're sharing our lives with, not as much about what we gain from that socially. If we get lost in that, sometimes I think we go off on a different path and it can cause conflict in your relationship. So to wrap it up, just remember this. Our relationships are really about the people that we care about and that we're sharing ourselves with. Not so much, in my experience, about the cultural standing or your social standing or the club of wifedom, as I've heard some women describe. It's really about the person that you're choosing to love. Remember that, because that's where you're going to get the most fulfillment from in your life. It's the people that are in our life that we're choosing to care about and share our time with.